Okay, kids, it's time for the season 6 premiere of Fueled by Weird, the only podcast where you don't have to be mad to be a creative, but it helps. I'm Chris Daly, and tonight I'd like to welcome Mr. Mark London to the show. Mark, how are we doing tonight, sir?
So far, so good. Even better than I'm here with you, chatting comics and about our industry and crazy projects or whatever it is. I just love talking shop. So,
Awesome. Well, we're gonna do a lot of that today. It's a little bit of a different kind of a format. I'm kind of a little bit more laid back of an interviewer. I just like to kind of dive in and kind of get to know you, and then we'll talk about your stuff.
perfect.
Perfect. All right. Well, first thing I want to do is, when I start these things off, I usually start with an icebreaker question. So today's question is, how do you like your potatoes?
Well, I really like the loaded baked potato
Okay.
with lots of cream cheese, some cheddar cheese, some maybe some bacon in there,
Okay.
a little bit of salt, and I'm good.
Perfect. That sounds awesome. For me, when it comes to potatoes, I like my potatoes French fried usually. Uh,
Uh-huh.
Loaded is also good there. Chili cheese fries with some bacon
Nice.
is a nice go-to for sure. So yeah, that's definitely it for me.
Good.
Also, another fun fact that I found out while doing my research for this is your birthday is a day after mine, which I
No
think is
way. So you're
awesome.
September
Yeah,
27th?
I am. And I
That's a
only bring that up because I don't find a lot of people who, not only not have the same birthday as I do, because there are a few that have the same day, but not very
hmm
many have, that close around my birthday. So I need to
hmm
bring it up because it's awesome. And September birthdays are the best.
100%.
Very, very cool. All right. So, to kick things off, I'm going to change things up a little bit because this is season 6. So I kind of want to change things a little bit. Usually I ask, what are some of your hobbies, your interests? Because, the concept of Fueled by Weird is, all your hobbies, your interests, all that stuff that you're into kind of make you come together to make you who you are as a person. But what I want to know is, when we're older, we've got adult responsibilities, families or not, jobs, all that stuff. It's a lot harder to find the time to, you know, indulge yourself in the things that feel your weird, your hobbies, your interests. So, what have you done lately to help fuel your weird? What are some of the hobbies or whatever that you're into that you've taken part of recently?
hmm As you can see behind me,
Hmm.
I really like collecting art.
Yeah,
And that is something that um, it's especially art that is meaningful to me,
yeah,
or that it was a creator that I admired when I was growing up, when I was infatuated with comic books, or a series that really changed my life, or something. So you're absolutely right, Chris. Now that we are supposedly grown men and we have
right.
certain responsibilities.
Grown men.
Yes, exactly. I like to keep my space where I work kind of like to be like my man cave, kind of
Yeah,
like blow some steam in the things that I like. So art is one of the things, especially comic book art. That is something that I do regularly. Check things out here and there. And especially, I mean, when again, it's something that really, really speaks to me or that I grew up with that. It's a piece that I would really, really like to hang it on the wall and contemplate it from time to time.
that's awesome. And it's nice that, when, a guy gets the opportunity to have a man cave, if they do, and they kind of surround it with stuff that, makes them feel at home and makes them, because it's supposed to be kind of a place you can go to relax and unwind from the responsibilities of the day. So,
Mm-hmm.
you should surround yourself in stuff that you like. You surround yourself in stuff that you like. Like I know
100%.
I'm in my man cave right now. That's where
Uh-huh.
I do all this stuff. This background I wish was my actual background, but it's not. For those that don't know, if you're a fan of the show Parks and Rec, this is Ron Swanson's office because, like Ron, I'm also a fan of breakfast food and dark-haired women. But if you could see my walls, uh, I've got a big board right here with all of my pins in it. I've
Nice.
got comic posters. I've got a sign, work like a captain, play like a pirate, because I'm kind of big with pirates.
Ooh, okay.
But I've got all sorts of stuff everywhere. Just make it feel a little bit more like home. So I totally get it
Okay. Love it.
for sure. All right, so now I want to take a trip in the way back machine, and I want to talk about what it was that originally inspired you to become a writer in the first place.
Hmm. I think that it was mostly movies, animation, books. I think that those were my outlet growing up. I grew
Sure.
up in the 80s. So I think that it was a beautiful time to just be exposed to science fiction and great novels and also amazing comic books and also Japanese animation. So I think that I really got an early crash course in all the things that make me a writer. A world builder, action heroes, menacing villains, grand in scope stories. Those were really things that inspired me, and I was like, "Listen, I want to be somebody that can create and can tell stories, and if somebody's entertained by that, and I can rub two words together, then I'm gonna be very, very happy."
Very
And that's in
cool.
a nutshell how I turned into a writer.
Awesome. And yeah, the 80s and 90s were a wonderful, wonderful time. Not, for just the content that was out there. Not only was it really really quality content, it was really hard to find, not like today where you can find pretty much anything at the drop of a hat, or the few keystrokes on a keyboard.
Hmm.
And like we were talking about before the show started, I grew up in the late 80s early 90s.
Hmm.
um well, I guess all through the 90s, but anyway, your series Battle Cats, like I said, was fantastic.
Hmm.
And
Thank you.
I definitely could tell the Thundercats vibe in there for sure.
Hmm. And you know what? But I mean, the funny thing is with Battle Cats, and again, I swear to you, Chris, was never part of the inspiration.
Really
It was never part of the inspiration.
interesting.
I was more obsessed with something called I don't know if you were familiar with that game called Battletoads.
Oh my God, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So
Yes, sir.
Battle Cats at first was supposed to be kind of just like your regular beat 'em up sort of kind of going a little bit sci-fi. But
Yeah.
then when I sat down with a creative team and we were bouncing stories back and forward, and especially with the artist, again, and for some reason I kept derailing myself and gravitating towards Conan and towards King Arthur and Knights of the Round Table and the stuff. So he was like, "So why are you pushing this so hard that we make it into space?" And he was like, "You know what? You're absolutely right. I'm just trying to force something that is not there." So then
Yeah.
when I started thinking Battle Cats in a more medieval setting, in a more um, Knights of the Round Table vibe, um, Conan-esque, that's when I really felt at home. But it was never supposed to be Thundercats. And then when everything, I mean, you're kind of like deep in your own mindset, and
Yeah.
you're the protagonist of the story, and then you go and like, oh, so this is like Thundercats, and I'm like, damn it, no, this is completely different. This is also this is also a lot of RPGs. It's more like your Lord of the Ring. Is more like your Witcher setting style like. So I was like, but yeah, but I guess that I don't know. I just thought, okay, Battle Cats, short and sweet, and then the comparisons start, and you're like, damn it.
Well, I didn't mean that as offensive or anything. I just,
No, no, no. I mean,
it's very kind of not similar, but like you could definitely get the vibes, just like the cat teams and
sure,
stuff like that.
sure.
Um, But it's kind of funny how when you're writing, where you have a specific idea in mind where you want your story to go, and then as the story kind of pans out, and either while you're writing it, or while you're starting to storyboard, do the art and stuff like that, it takes you in a totally different direction. And
Hmm.
that's kind of what's the neat thing about being a writer, is that you never really know where it's going to go, because you may have one idea in mind, but then it ends up taking a turn. Because I had no idea that you originally it was going to be a space story,
Hmm.
which
Hmm.
is it's very cool.
Yeah. So, but I think that I'm glad that we didn't go to space. So I think that that paid, that worked out well.
Oh, for sure. It still probably would have been an amazing story in space. I think it would be a totally different story.
100%,
Yeah,
100%. You're right, Chris.
definitely. All right, so now I kind of want to see, while we're already in the Wayback Machine, I want to know what it was that got you interested in comic books.
I've always been in love with art. So hence that's why I collect a lot of the pieces. And I think
Sure.
that when I got exposed to comic books, I think that it was love at first sight. I think that it
Okay,
was something that I mean, sequential storytelling just really, really spoke to me. And it was something that I thought like, okay, I first wanted to be, I grew up thinking that I was going to be a director and I wanted to kind of just like write and direct my own movies.
sure.
But then I think that the barriers of entry, I don't think. I mean, the barriers of entry of trying to making a movie or trying to actually get a project started are much, much more expensive than
Sure.
trying to get your story through comic book format.
Yeah.
Even again, it's a completely different art. It's a completely different medium that
Yeah.
you're trying to just like build here, which still needs a lot of patience and a lot of craft. And like a movie that you have a big assemble of people that do different things, same is with a comic book. So I think that it was same mind like people that actually wanted to actually help me build a lot of my stories. So I think that that played into the aspect of why comic books, because I think that it was although I wanted to be a director, I wanted to be a writer, I think that comic books, for some reason, they spoke to me in a way that when I was writing screenplays back in the day, they did not. Because it was more like you build a screenplay and then you hope for the best. You're either gonna
Yeah.
sell it, maybe this thing is never gonna get made. With comics, even if you're at the early stages and you manage to actually get a good partner, get a writer, get an artist, you start seeing like, okay, let's come up with some concepts, and you start seeing the process right away, how it explodes out of the page. And it's very, very interesting. That is something that really excites me when I'm trying to tackle comic book projects, because you basically just not only control the pace, not only control your scenes, but also you can control and you can start seeing things come to life very, very quickly. So
Very
that's
nice.
that.
Yeah, so that's something I've heard from a lot of comic book writers that I've talked to on this show where, they originally started out with dreams of being a director, but with like you said, it takes a really long time to, not necessarily to write the script, but to
Mhm.
shop it around to see if anyone's interested. Then of course
Mhm.
you have to get the money and all that stuff. And,
Hmm.
pivoting toward comics, you don't really have to wait on anybody other than yourself and maybe your artist.
100%.
You have way more creative control over it. And, in theory, you can put it out a lot quicker than you could, a TV show or a movie. And so
Correct.
there's a lot of comics that I've seen that have transitioned from, being a screenplay to being a comic just because
Hmm.
there's a lot
Yeah.
less hassle, even though comics have their own mess of hassles to deal with.
Yes, 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 yes. And especially now, I think that you're right, Chris, especially now when we have crowdfunding and
Yeah.
when we have social media.
Mhm.
Again, when we started Mad Cave Studios, I mean, almost 12 years ago, I mean, Kickstarter was in its infancy. I mean, you really needed to actually break into comic books and break into the medium to actually get noticed. Nowadays, I mean, it's a little bit more manageable, accessible. What success looks like, that's a completely different animal. But it's definitely something that a lot of aspiring creators, I mean, can put out there, and you would definitely have some eyeballs in front of you.
Yeah, definitely. Because, like you said, with Kickstarter,
Hmm.
anybody can do a comic now, really.
Sure. Yes.
Very true. All right, so now, speaking of, Mad Cave, with it being almost, 12-year anniversary, why don't we talk a little bit about the founding of Mad Cave? So last week I talked to Mr. Adam Freeman from Prana Direct Marketing, and we kind of talked a little bit about, taking a chance on yourself, and starting your own company. And now I kind of want to talk a little bit about that with you. And, what was it like taking a chance on yourself to help found Mad Cave?
It's always super scary, but I think that
Sure.
it's very gratifying at the end of the day when you really, really build something from scratch. And something that we're very, very proud with the team at Mad Cave is that a lot of us they really don't come from the industry. If you take a look at it, some of the publishing companies and some of the comic projects or pop-ups, imprints from here and there, I mean, you see that they're either well-established comic book creators or they're people that have been working in the industry for a very, very long time. Uh, for me, it was just passion. For me, it was completely a love letter to comic books. I want to build this. I want to do it my way. I want to go. I want to give some people a shot at. That's what we have the Mad Cave Talent Search. But at first, because a lot of people they would tell me like, oh, so you basically just build Mad Cave because you want to self-publish. I know how hard is it to make a project and call it your own and put it out there and seeing if it succeeds or if it fails. So when we started Mad Cave, I was basically just writing all of the books, but because I wanted to get a boundary. I wanted to get established. I wanted us to have a foundation of what a publisher would look like. Even if if its infancy it would fail, it would be my failure. It would be something that I would be accountable for. I didn't want to take, I mean, somebody's baby, somebody's passion project. I mean, sometimes we spend years working on this, and then you basically take their baby and you publish it, and it bombs. And not because the project was not amazing. It was because your marketing, your distribution, your printing capacity, your storage, the way that you do business was not up to par. So I think that what I tried to do at first was try to build something organic, um, that I would take my own responsibility at first. It was my own responsibility at first. But then as we continue growing and learning and we felt in a better place, I think that we could actually build the business and really make it what we once envisioned that it could actually be. So going back to your question, I mean, I think that it's always scary, but it's something
Sure.
amazing when at least you build it and you work hard at it and then you see it come to fruition.
Absolutely. And plus, you will never have that, that what if, because if you didn't take the chance on yourself, there'd always be that what if, like, yeah, what if it failed, but what if it didn't? And, if you don't take that chance, you'll never
Hmm.
know. And,
Hmm.
and, fortunately for you, it paid off. And, now you're coming
Hmm.
up on 12-year anniversary, which is awesome.
Hmm. Thank
And
you, Chris.
you're
Hmm.
welcome. And it's funny how you said, well, people kind of gave the criticism, oh, you just want to start a publishing company because you want to publish yourself. Well, yeah, if no one's going to publish me, I'm going to do it myself. I mean, that's the whole, like tons of people out there have their own, publishing houses for that exact reason.
Hmm.
They can't get people to publish their stuff, and so they publish it themselves. I mean,
Hmm.
again, that's just taking a chance on yourself.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Chris.
Very cool. Okay, so now, also on top of, the Mad Cave, you've got lots of other partnerships. We've got Maverick, we've got Paper Cuts and Nakama Press. Why don't we
Hmm.
talk a little bit about those?
Going back to the initial plan, I always saw the printing or the publishing side of things as a four-legged chair. Um, and we started with Mad Cave because again, it was basically our way of giving back of what some of us grew up with because we loved comic books. And so Mad Cave is kind of like your Teen Plus line. That's basically its target market. But then we also wanted to actually cover the whole spectrum, which is like Maverick, so it's young adult, paper cuts, you got your middle grade, and then Nakama Press, it covers manga. So when we set out to do with Mad Cave Studios was actually publish, publish content that people can engage, but from different ages, from
Yeah.
the different age groups. And sometimes, I mean, it plays through the whole gamut of what people like because you start with middle grade and then you go up the way teen plus adult content. So you basically just have a tap on all these different demographics and you're trying to push them to actually read. Hell, I mean, one of the things that actually got me reading when I was growing up was comic books. What I really got hooked up my kids on when I just gave them a book and it was 300 pages and no freaking pictures, they were like,
Yep.
Dad, what is this? And I was like, well, you
Yeah.
have to read. But sometimes, I mean, when you start with comic books, I mean, you kind of ease in into get the feel for reading, the love for reading, and that basically. So I think that we're also doing a beautiful thing by trying to get more people reading.
Absolutely. Sometimes, when you pass a kid a book, a novel, it's not always are they going to get super into it because of course you've got those kids that'll take those novels and just, devour them and they just get totally into reading that way. But other kids, you have to get a gateway somehow to get them into reading novels some other way. I know
Mhm.
specifically with my kids, they are like that. They think novels are boring, but they'll eat up graphic novels all day, both of my kids. And my kids, I have an 18-year-old and a 10-year-old. Or
Hmm.
no, she's 11 now, I think. I
Okay.
can't, yeah, she's 11. It's been a long week and it's only Monday. But yeah, they'll devour graphic novels. So, and a lot of
Uh-huh.
people consider graphic novels as not real books, but I mean, there's no reason. Of course they're real
Of
books.
course.
Like you said,
Mhm.
everybody takes something a little bit different to get them to reading, and if as long as they're reading, why does it matter?
100%, exactly. And I think that it's a beautiful way when you transition from comic books to novels or where you got your passion for reading and exposed to creative medium that is graphic storytelling. So you're right, you have kids, you're and we are both from September. So that's great, Chris.
There you go. And one of my kids is September birthday too. So that,
Really? Okay,
yeah,
okay.
for sure. Also, another partnership I wanted to talk about is one that, was announced 2 years ago with Amazing Comics and Mr. Joe Quesada, a
Hmm.
fantastic man who I got the chance to interview, back then, and he spoke very highly of you and your guys' partnership. What was that like, being able to make a partnership with Joe?
When Joe left Marvel, I think that he had it in his back pocket. He had Amazing Comics ready. How he got that name, which is a fantastic name, I have no idea. But again,
Right?
that's the beauty of Mr. Joe Quesada. I mean,
Yeah,
he's a master, a magician in a lot of things that he does.
for
So
sure.
when he left Marvel and he's always he's always I've always admired him because he thinks outside the box.
Hmm.
So when we kind of like met, and Mark Irwin, which is Matt Cave's president, I mean, they knew each other from the industry from back in the day,
Yeah.
and Joe was basically just kind of like shopping around the idea of where am I going to find my home to publish my imprint, publish my books. Um, he saw what we were doing. He saw what we stood by. He saw what our vision, our mission were. And he was like, you know what? You guys are the outliers here. I think that I feel comfortable working with you guys. And you know what? I think that is going to take a lot of people by surprise because I didn't go the traditional route. I went with an up and coming indie publisher that is making strides little by little. And I think that it caught everybody off guard. Like, okay, Mr. Joe Quesada, I mean, coming to Mad Cave Studios. Why is he interested in Mad Cave Studios? And then people start digging a little bit like, oh, and like you said, I mean, we have started building our different imprints and we're trying to put out the best content out there little by little. And now we have somebody, a legendary creator as Joe Quesada, that is going to publish his line very, very soon through Mad Cave.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have, like you said, you've got a wide variety of books for all different ages, and they're fantastic books. There's books for everybody, which is fantastic, and that's always nice when, you can pretty much cover all your bases. And yeah, I remember when that announcement came out because I'm in Idaho, and it's big,
Oh.
big things coming from Idaho. It's going to be the big comics, and I'm like, all right, I need to get in on this, because I'm in Idaho, so I want to find out about this, and
Mhm.
blew me away when I found I never in a million years would have thought the big thing from comics in Idaho was going to be Joe Quesada. I had no idea. It was incredible. He's relocated here. He
Mhm.
loves it here. He's actually not super far from where I am, so that was kind
Uh-huh.
of cool. But yeah, it was very, very cool to find out that, Joe Quesada is making a big splash in comics again, not with
Hmm.
Marvel, but with Mad Cave, and
Yeah.
a lot more eyes are coming to Mad Cave now, which I think has got to be good for everybody.
That's the plan, Chris. And yeah, I really like Joe. I love Nancy, his wife. I mean, they're super team. Um, very, very, very five-star people. And I can't wait to show you guys what he's been working on.
It's gonna be awesome. All right, so I kind of want to touch on this a little bit. You mentioned Mad Cave Talent Search. For those that, don't aren't familiar with Mad Cave Talent Search, why don't we take a quick minute to talk about it?
Of course. Back to what we were talking, that back in the day, breaking into comics was kind of like super difficult, and you had to actually know somebody, or you had to actually, by a miracle, get a gig at the big two. Big
Yeah.
two being Marvel, DC, and then you kind of just like get in your own way, and you had to kind of just be grandfathering.
Yeah.
So when we started doing our own things with Mad Cave, well, I sat down with the team and was like, you know what? I really want to give unknown talent, which are really diamonds in the rough. It's just that they don't have a big enough voice at the moment because again, it's so hard to put yourself out there and
Yeah.
publish your material that we're actually going to do a talent search. And the talent search at first was okay, we're going to give you a mini series. You're going to write all 4 issues, 5 issues, 6 issues, depending on how polished you can actually overcome this. And I need to tell you this, Chris.
Okay.
Back in the day when we were starting Mad Cave, and this is part of why I'm so proud of the talent search, is because back in the day when we started Mad Cave and we were knocking on every single comic book shop around the country, the first 3 questions were like, "But do you have established talent?" No. Is your character well known? Well, no. Are you distributed by Diamond? No. Which at first it was kind of just like those 3 things were what was going to get you in the door.
Yeah.
So our first talent search, 2 winners, David Hassan and Shane Connery Volk, writer, artist. We came up with something called Nottingham. And Nottingham basically it has been one of Matt Cave's most successful titles. And it had no talent. It had no well-known talent. It had not a brand name for a character that everybody knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, by that time we were being distributed by Diamond. But at least I'll take the first 2 that we were like, okay,
Yeah.
nobody knew who these guys were, and nobody knew what the IP was. And
Yeah.
still it really did very well for us. So that's also why I'm a little bit sentimental. I'm proud of the talent search because we were
Sure.
able to give people a voice and a foot in the door every year. This has been going on for 8 years now. Every year during summertime, we launch our talent search and we want to discover new voices. We want to discover diamonds in the rough. Some of the people that have won, they're actually now doing they're on writing duty for Mad Cave full time for a full series. They're being eyed by the big companies, even by the big two. So I'm super proud, Chris. I'm super proud of the talent search because it gave a lot of small voices a megaphone
Very
for them to
cool.
shine.
That's awesome. And, I'll be sure to help, when it's summertime and we've got the next one out, I'll make sure we help share it out so everyone knows.
Excellent. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So another thing I want to talk about is you guys have been on fire bringing back some old legacy titles like Dick Tracy, Gotcha Man, Flash Gordon, Speed Racer, and The Phantom. I bring up Speed Racer because David Pepose is amazing.
Hmm.
Um,
Yes.
so how's that been like? How were you guys able to, bring those back? And, how's that been so far?
Well, it goes back to, again, being a child of the 80s,
Yeah.
in love with Japanese animation, in love with all those characters. I mean, I grew up with those characters. I watched Dick Tracy in theaters probably like 10 times. Say what you want about the movie, but again, it was kind of those
Yeah.
things. And I grew up with Speed Racer, and I grew up with the Phantom, and I grew up with Flash Gordon. So part of the publishing, what I've been referring to, Chris, that we really wanted to build a publisher, it's exactly that. We wanted to also license titles. We actually wanted to make the best comic books from certain licensed characters that we grew up with, that we admired, that we loved, that we really, really wanted to do justice, not just get the license and print a million variant covers, and then after issue 10, I mean, it goes, we set it up to die in the vine, or and then we move on. I mean, I dream, this is a little bit naive, but I wish that we can get 100 issues outside the door for Gatchaman, for Dick Tracy, for Flash Gordon, for Speed Racer, for the Phantom, that we can really build this big ongoing series from those characters, because they have the potential to do that. And I think that a lot of people that grew with those characters, that actually remembers those characters and remember how they made them feel when they were growing up. I mean, they're definitely going to gravitate to all the content that we're putting out there. And I think that we're doing a lot of justice to those characters through our comic books.
Absolutely. And not only are you bringing them back for, the people that remember who grew up watching that stuff, you're introducing it to a whole brand new generation of readers.
100%. And for example, we were talking about the different imprints. So since
Yeah.
we have Flash Gordon for Mad Cave, we also have Flash Gordon for Paper Cuts. So then you basically just bounce back the different imprints, and you kind of just try to give these characters, I mean, to different age groups, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful when you see their reactions, and when they get exposed to the material.
Yeah, I mean, plus, by having that go, for your older people and then for the kids,
Yeah.
you're kind of spreading it out, all over the place. Just, you might as well. I mean, if you've got the option to do it, why not, explore as many avenues as possible to get it out there in front of readers.
Of course. I always shove my kids down their throats. I mean, everything that I grew up with. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Yep.
Thundercats, G.I. Joe, Transformers. I mean, they were like, yeah. I mean,
Yep.
they had no idea how they were, but they were like, okay, but guys, I'm gonna show you what the good stuff is.
Yep.
So you kind of, you're right, Chris. I mean, you're kind of passing it down, and
Oh, for
that's how
sure.
you build new audiences.
Yep, I've done that too. Some of the stuff, I've done that too with a lot of my kids. Some of the stuff from the 90s I've been kind of sharing with my kids, and my older daughter is kind of, clung on to some of that stuff. But like Turtles, like you said, have locked in with both of them.
Hmm.
And, the fact that you're always finding a new iteration of Turtles for new generations of kids
Yeah,
is always nice. Power Rangers, that's another big one
a
that,
hundred percent.
it's locked in with one of my kids, but not the other one, but that's okay. But it's kind of like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yes,
Here's all
yes,
the
yes,
stuff
yes.
that I loved as a kid. And, if you love some of it too, that's awesome. If you don't, that's cool too. But that's what's cool about being a parent is, sometimes you'll get some stuff that you'll have a shared interest with your kids. And then the really fun part is when they find stuff on their own that they like and
Hmm.
they develop that personality and they're able
Hmm.
to, go and take, something that you help them learn, and then they'll go find something else that, it's their very own interest, which it's a lot of fun.
Hmm.
All right, sir. Now I want to talk about the main event, Honor and Curse Eternal.
Hmm.
So for those that have never heard of Honor and Curse Eternal, why don't we take a minute to talk about it?
Of course. Um, it's century spawning ninja action. It's John Wick meets Venom meets Blade of the Immortal. You got your main character, Genji Sakagura, a young shinobi in the 1400s, hunted by the Tengu Minamoto, which is a ancient spirit of war. Which is bonded to his soul. And after centuries of bloodshed and penance, we are now in 2025. Genji's in New York. He's running his company, Mountain Protection Services, which is a century-year-old bodyguard company. And he has been keeping the Tengu cage at the back of his mind. So now we do have an enticing incident, and Genshi is forced to actually step back into the light, and he has to fight. But again, he has the Tengu, so he needs to control the Tengu. because when he fights, he basically becomes the personification of the Tengu, and things can go really, really wrong. So a lot of the inspiration for the Tengu is also versus the transformation with Genshi and back and forward. It's a little bit of the Hulk, how
Sure.
he basically just battles with that inner curse, inner demon that actually wants to break out every single moment. So this is going to be a high octane series. The artist, Jaime Infante, he has such a precise line work that it basically just mimics a little bit Frank Miller's Ronin or
Okay.
Frank Miller style. I think that we got that vibe, and the end result is fantastic. So Honor and Curse Eternal is it's a wild ride, Chris. For
Very
somebody that
cool.
is into action, a little bit of a body horror that maybe, and hey, it's balls to the wall, man.
Very cool. Now, for those listening, this book just barely dropped on March 25th, right? Just a
Last
few
week,
days
yeah.
ago.
Hmm.
And this will drop next week
Okay.
On Wednesday. So it's already going to be out for a couple weeks by now. Make sure you call up your local comic book shop, pre-order it or not pre-order. Pre-order issue 2 because issue 1 will
Yes.
be out. Make sure you get issue 1. If you don't have a local comic shop, make sure you check out online. We'll put the link to Mad Cave's website in here where you guys can check it out and go see for yourself how awesome the book is. Um, and I'll share it all over social media so people can know. Um, so what was your inspiration when creating this? Did you pull from other titles or other areas
Mhm.
of fandom that you're into, or
Mhm.
how'd you come up with the story?
Always been also, again, I think that it because of Japanese animation, maybe Ninja Scroll was a big influence for me. Japanese folklore has always been a passion of mine. So I thought that, okay, I can really tap into this world. I grew up with it. I can really come up with a great, great story. And that was always the plan. I mean, building Genshi, his first appearance in the 1400s, then you have an immortal soul. And now you're in 2025, and okay, has an immortal managed to live for the for 600 years? So I'm also a very big fan of Highlander,
Okay,
and that is something that I was also that is always with me. So I think that yeah, I think that I put Highlander, I put a lot of ninja folklore into a blender, and I spat out Honor and Curse.
very cool. Now, for me, it kind of being a kid of the 90s, it kind of has a little bit of Samurai Jack vibes to me.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
not so much as time travel, because that was kind of
Sure.
more in Samurai Jack, but kind of the same thing is the same like over the years, you've got the samurai battling the demon. So
Yeah.
that sounds right up my alley. I'm super
Yeah.
stoked.
Nice.
Now, do you have an idea of how many issues you guys are going to go? Is it like going to be a limited series? Are you going to just do it as long as you can? What's the idea?
Obviously, the fans will have the last word as always.
Sure.
But just between the two of us, Chris, and please let's not tell anybody.
Okay.
12 issues are already done.
Oh wow,
Done.
okay.
They're ready to go. That's how I like to work. And
There you go.
since I have Mike Martz, which is I think that the best editor in comics, I think that what we have planned for you guys is unbelievable. But there are 12 issues ready to go. So no delays, no nothing. That's your first arc, and hopefully, I mean, we can continue building on this amazing series. But as you said, of course, if we can continue writing it and pumping out these books, I mean, I'm just gonna be super, super stoked. But it all depends on the fans and if they pick up the series and they like it.
12 issues, that's like 3 trades. That's
Yeah,
very nice. That's awesome.
yeah.
Now, again, when I was doing my research in in preparation to talk to you, I did see that back in 2019 you guys had another series, Honor and Curse. Is this a
Hmm.
continuation of that?
Hmm. Well, let's just say that it was going back to what I was telling you that at first, when we started Mad Cave, I was writing all the books. Honor and Curse was one of those books. So its setting was in the 1400s. It's basically Genshi's origin story. But I always knew that he was going to be an immortal. I always knew that
Yeah.
he was going to come and play in 2025. So when we decided to actually bring him back, that's when Matt Cave hit 10 years. And I was like, hey, there's no better place and kind of like homage to everything that we've been doing to
Yeah.
actually build, to actually bring back some of the stories that we built in the past. So that's why some other issues that we published last year, like Revolution 9, Hour of the Wolf, Exit City, they stem from some of the books that I wrote in our early years at Mad Cave Studios. So Honor and Curse, Revolution 9, Exit City, and Hour of the Wolf, they are part of something called the Underworld, which is kind of like it's a shared universe with our own characters. So, but you don't need to actually read the other stories. If you want to read them, more power to you. Each series is built that you can pick it up. You can pick the pieces right away. It will just tell you a lot of who Genshi was in the first issue of Honor and Curse Eternal. But if you want to go back and try to understand a little bit of his pain and what he went through, of course you can go back and then pick up the earlier series.
Very cool. So these are all kind of just sequel series,
It's
kind of in a way,
in a way, I
or
think that
not a sequel, but more like a continuation.
correct. It is more like a reimagination, Chris,
Okay.
of the IP. So
Very cool.
yeah.
And it's nice that, you don't have to, dig into a whole bunch of backstory to kind of understand what's going on now. The fact that you guys are purposely making them as standalone stories makes it a lot more appealing to readers because, they don't have to do a bunch of homework to
Mhm.
get invested in it, which is
No,
which is always nice. I mean,
no,
it's nice that the option's there, but, if you don't have to, it's nice.
correct. And going back to, for example, Revolution 9 or Hour of the Wolf or Exit City, I mean, they're all very different genres.
Sure.
So Revolution 9 is actually your assassin on the run. It's high octane, it's also lots of action. Then you got Hour of the Wolf, which is a little bit horror. Then you got Exit City, which is detective procedural story. So you can choose what you can choose, pick your poison if you want.
Very nice. Now, when you were locking in to do the writing for Honor and Curse Eternal, what was your process, to get in the mind space to do that? Did you have to go back and kind of, because you said it's been like 10 years since the
Mhm,
original. Did you have to
mhm.
go and kind of refresh yourself with the original series? Did you already kind of just still have that locked in? How did that work?
Not really. I think that well, for me at least, I mean, when you're dealing with these characters, I mean, they become a part of you. They're
Sure.
kind of like your friend group. So
Yeah.
you can describe them. You can describe your friends pretty accurately, and you know what makes them tick. You know where they go wrong. You know what they are. So for me, it's easy just to bounce back different titles and these characters because I understand them. I know where they came from, and I know where I want to take them. Sometimes they tell me where they want to take them. They want to be taken, but
That's true.
that's sometimes that's when they take over.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what we talked about earlier, like when you're writing, sometimes you want to go one way, but the story or the characters will take you a totally different way, and
Yeah.
you don't want to force it because if you force it, then it ends up not being as genuine. You just kind of gotta let it go where it needs to
Hmm.
go, and I think that always
Hmm.
works out a lot better.
100%, 100%.
Very cool. And so it sounds like, these characters you didn't really have to dust them off because they never really left.
No, it's and it's funny because I think that something that happens with our industry is that we just publish a number one, we just hope for the best, and then it's on to the next one. For me, that's not the way that I perceive comics. I mean, I think that every single project has a lot of value. Every single thing that
Sure.
you're doing that you invested countless hours, sometimes years of your life, I mean, devoted to this is just like, hey, keep banging that drum, keep banging that drum and try to make it better and try. That's why these new books are a reimagination. I think that they're better, tighter, more controlled. I think that it comes with the passing of days that you really try to push yourself, not only as a writer, but as a creator and as a company just trying to put the best possible product out there. So it's it's more a reflection of, okay, am I freaking getting better? Or this is
Sure.
definitely not for me.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's been 10 years since the first Honor and Curse. In 10 years, of course you've, developed more as a writer, you've learned new techniques, you've learned how to refine your current technique. So yeah, of course, it's good to see, how much you've changed and how much you've grown as a writer by writing the new series, I'm sure.
Yep.
Very cool. All right, now I kind of want to pivot back a little bit, talking about the legacy titles. I want to ask you if you could get one legacy title, like a wish list legacy title, or maybe like, one or two. Do you have anything in mind that, you'd like to try to get?
Like a license, you mean, Chris?
Yeah, like
If
if
I
like
could
if
bring
like if you had like a wish list of like, classic titles or classic characters that, you know, if someone came to you and said, "All right, you could have any classic character you want, and we'll, adapt it to, a brand new comic series," uh,
Mhm.
what one or what ones
Mhm.
would you pick?
Going along the vibe of what we brought so far, and not going with the traditional uh, Batman or Spider-Man, which
Yeah.
again, I super love them.
Uh-huh.
I would probably say Castlevania.
Okay.
I would say Highlander,
Okay.
and I would say Vampire Hunter D, and
Okay.
I would say we were talking about a Ninja Scroll,
Okay.
and I would probably say Turtles.
Nice.
I
Very,
love the
very cool.
Turtles. Yeah.
Oh man, so good.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I love every iteration of the Turtles, but I think the 2012 version, I think that's my favorite one.
Yeah. Me too.
I like that one a lot.
So
I
cool. You're
it,
absolutely right.
the aesthetic is cool. Like I don't know what it is. Like I mean, I like the new version, with every version with Donatello with glasses is kind of one of my favorite ones just, because I have glasses and
Hmm.
growing up
Hmm.
as a kid, him being a nerd, it kind of related to me. But
Hmm.
there's just something special about that 2012 version of Ninja Turtles. I don't know what it is, but
Hmm.
it just hits so good.
It hits so good. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. All right, sir. Well, like we said, Honor and Curse Eternal issue one is now in stores. Again, this will drop on Comic Book Day, and what better way to celebrate Comic Book Day than going and grabbing yourself some great Mad Cave books, including Honor and Curse Eternal number one. Again, if your store doesn't have it, make sure you ask them to order it for you. And while they're ordering it for you, please make sure to pre-order issue two, which is coming soon. And again, if you don't have a local comic book shop, we'll put the link online. You guys can find it and order it from Mad Cave directly. Or if you can find just wherever you can find a comic book, you should get a copy because it'll be a great book. Now, sir, what are some other things coming from Mad Cave that you can talk about that you want to share?
Well, we kind of touched upon the partnership with Joe Quesada.
Hmm.
So that is something that is coming soon. And unfortunately, I can't divulge a lot of the things that we're working on right
It's okay.
now, but it's going to be a good year. My suggestion is go to our website, madcave.com, and subscribe to our newsletter or follow us in social media, depending where your poison is. And keep your eyes open because very cool series are coming down the line.
Awesome. Now, before I let you go, uh, usually I ask a question, but I'm changing it a little bit. What I
Okay.
want to know is there a bit of advice, knowing what you know now, is there a bit of advice that you would tell your younger self?
Oh, for sure. Work with people that see the world like you do. If you think that you're gonna get into a partnership or that you're gonna get with a collaborator that from the get-go you see that there's some friction there, um, don't do it. Don't do it because it can really be a very, very um, big migraine or an expensive ordeal at the end. So try to just work with like-minded folks that see the world like you do, and if you are lucky and find that those people, I guarantee you the rest will take care of itself.
Now, we kind of did it a little bit already, but where can people stay up to date with stuff coming from Mad Cave? Let's hit them with all the areas where they
Yeah,
can go and follow
yeah.
you.
Madcavestudios.com or madcave.com. The different imprints, paper cuts, Maverick and Nakama, they each have their own website. Also, subscribe to our newsletter. That's basically where we're gonna promise that we're not gonna spam you. It's just one newsletter every week, just telling you what's coming out, what we're working on, what's on the horizon. And those type of news, like, okay, when is the talent search coming? Where are we exhibiting next? All that good information. If you happen to be in town by the time, I mean, one of those conventions that hopefully, I mean, Matt can go to, um, and on social media.
Very cool. And all the social medias, go
Yes,
follow
all
Mad
the
Cave
social
all
medias.
over the place.
Yeah. Hmm.
Because like I said, they've got some great stuff that has already come out. They've got some great stuff coming because I'm on the newsletter and I see all the cool stuff that's coming and I'm super excited.
Yeah.
All right, so first of all, I don't do this part enough, but I want to thank Melissa Mazzaros from Don't Hide PR. Melissa is fantastic.
Love it.
She's so incredible. She's very passionate about comics, and she was the one that made this interview possible. So thank you so much, Melissa, for everything you're doing. And if you need any kind of, help getting your comic out there, definitely hit up Melissa because she is the best.
100%.
Um, I also want to thank Polygon Horizon. Their song Pizza Force is the song I use for the show. Check them out on Bandcamp and SoundCloud. They're fantastic. Go show them some love. You can follow Fueled by Weird on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, TikTok. I think that's all the places I am. Also, we've got a Facebook page for the podcast network. Go check that out. You can email me at fueledbyweird@gmail.com. You can chat about all sorts of nerdy stuff. Come on the show, do whatever, you know, come hit me up. You can find the show on YouTube, Spotify, and anywhere you get your podcasts. There's also a link tree where you can go find all the links if you uh, need specifics or can't find me. Go find the link tree. Everything's there. Go check out my friend Hassel Hutchison. He's got a channel called The Nerdy Manroom Show. He also has a show by the same name. They talk about all sorts of nerdy stuff. He does a lot of reviews, unboxings, and he also has a show called Card Subject to Change. It's a what if, but for pro wrestling. So if you're a pro wrestling fan like myself,
Nice.
like Hassel is, it's good stuff. Um, Also, we want to talk about Big Rob and Big Rob's House of Entertainment and No Chinese Food. He does lots of great toy hauls and a lot of other cool videos. Go check him out on YouTube. The three of us with our friend Monster make up the Stay Weird Network. We're a podcast network dedicated to bringing some awesome back to the internet because sometimes the internet sucks. And, social media is kind of a bummer sometimes. So we want to try to make it a little less bummery. Go check us out at YouTube and Instagram. Like I said, also our Facebook page. You can go share all your nerdy stuff and go talk nerdy with us in there, promote your projects. And you can also email us at stayweirdnetwork@gmail.com. Now, if you like the show, please leave a review and tell your friends because word of mouth is my friend. And remember, kids, it's only weird if you make it weird. So make it real weird. Mark, thanks so much for hanging out with me tonight, man.
No, thank you, Chris, and thank you for everything you do, man.